Hi, everybody. Dr. Johnson again, and we're going to continue talking about the government-funded programs for school-age children. The next one that we'll look at is the school breakfast program. The school breakfast program is similar to the school lunch program. However, you're only required to have 3 meal components instead of 5 meal components. In order for a student to get reimbursed for the breakfast program, they must take all 3 offerings. One must be a fruit. The 3 requirements is a fruit, a grain, and a milk. Now remember, the requirements regarding fruit, grain, and milk are exactly the same for the school lunch program. For example, the milk has to be fluid milk, and you have to have 2 offerings, such as a low-fat white milk or non-fat / fat-free chocolate milk. Now, one thing that's different with the school breakfast program is that it's only required to meet 25% of the DRIs for that age group. Remember, the DRIs are your daily recommended intakes for vitamins and minerals, and it's the large umbrella term for all the individual things like RDA, EAR, upper limit, etc. I'll post the link to this video as well. The school lunch program requires to have an entree, a fruit, and a milk. What about breakfast after the bell? Have you heard about this? What do you know? Breakfast after the bell was designed to help even the playing field for all children. Think about the poor child who comes from a low SES household and only gets lunch at school. They're relying exclusively on the meals provided Monday through Friday by the school lunch program. Well, if they're late to school, that means they miss breakfast. Or some kids are bullies and they might make fun of the other child who has to come early to school to eat breakfast. A way to navigate this is having breakfast after the bell, where all children in the classroom are provided breakfast after the start of school. The first 15 minutes is dedicated to having breakfast as an entire class. This is an extra grant that schools have to apply for, and they typically only qualify if a large portion of the student population falls under that SES under income category. Breakfast after the bell helps to even the playing field and also provides a nourishing start to the day. Research shows that students who have a healthy breakfast in the morning do better academically throughout the day and long term. So what are school districts doing to comply to the new Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act? Many are reincorporating scratch cooking. A lot of salad bars are becoming more popular, such as this one in the film. The salad bars are a great way for compliance because they are offering the variety of colors of fruits and veggies throughout the week. It also helps encourage children making the decision and self-selecting the fruit or vegetable that they're most interested in. A big movement is a farm to table. School districts are working with local farmers to produce produce for their salad bar. Food conventions are another popular place that help with networking and taste test in order for the school district food service to learn more about products. Now, I mentioned in our last video that it's important to understand that these new foods that you're seeing on a menu do comply with all the dietary guidelines. In fact, research shows that students who bring home-cooked meals or a school lunchbox from home, brown paper bag lunch, whatever you want to call it, are less nutritionally dense than the meals that are provided by the school district. Again, remember, there are limitations because the budget is very tight. However, people are getting very creative, and the meals that they are providing do comply with the dietary guidelines and are extremely nourishing for that child. This can be confusing to the parents because they'll get a menu and it says nachos, and a lot of people will complain, well, how are nachos a healthy meal for you? Not realizing that the tortilla chips are whole grain, they've been baked, not fried, and the cheese is low fat. Kids should be kids. However, we do want to provide these healthy nutrients, so they do comply. Another example is if you see a blueberry muffin. The blueberry muffin has been reduced with the amount of added sugars in order to comply with the restriction, as well as it has whole wheat flour in it. So they're very nutritionally dense while still providing fun play foods for the kids. So, a lot of challenges that are faced is that parents don't think that the school meals are healthy, just as I was talking about on the previous slide. Participation is another one. In fact, it's very interesting with our current condition of our society and how this is impacting how we provide meals for students. Participation is really interesting when you actually look at like field trips. So when kids go on field trips and they don't take a school lunch, that actually is not reimbursed. So this provides additional budget constraints. For every dollar, you get about 20 cents to provide food after you've paid for the labor, etc. So budget's really hard, and that makes it a challenge to always provide the most fresh food. However, keep in mind that it does comply with the dietary guidelines. Depending on the staff and equipment that's available as well can be challenging. These larger school districts most likely have a central kitchen, and then food gets packaged and sent out to the different school sites. Other places might have a kitchen right there on hand, while other schools might only have a way to heat and cool the food. The Senate Bill 250, the Child Hunger Prevention and Fair Treatment Act, basically says that you cannot require people to pay their unpaid school bill. This causes a lot of constraint because, again, the budget is very strict already. Another additional thing is that it's hard to adapt to the increasing need of food preferences or diets that are self-selected. So these are some challenges that the school district is currently facing to meet. What I would like you to do is to pause the video. Make a breakfast that complies with the meal components, including a fruit, a grain, and a milk. Make a fun title name for the meal that appeals to children. I briefly want to talk about other governmental nutrition programs. This is an important area to bridge the gap for students who rely exclusively on meals when they're at school. The Summer Food Service Program is a great additional grant that schools can apply for, especially in areas that have a large population that fall under the income level. These are meals provided in local parks during the summer months that would have all 5 meal components. Anybody under the age of 18 can get a free meal by going to a local park during the summer. This is a great way to still provide food, especially to those kiddos who can only get food when they're at school. The Backpack Program is another government-funded program that provides backpacks for the weekend. The teacher would identify the child who is at most need and then would put a pack in the kid's backpack, and that has shelf-stable foods. Things like tuna, things like peanut butter, that don't require refrigeration because we never know if that child has a way to keep that food cold. The Backpack Program allows for that child to get food over the weekend. The last one is called Team Nutrition. Team Nutrition doesn't so much provide food, but rather it provides education. Its main goal is to improve eating and physical activity, and they really promote the dietary guidelines and My Plate. So what is the teacher's role, or potentially your role as a future child worker? Depending on where you're at, you may be the first on the line to identify that a child comes from a home that needs assistance. We want to help teach healthy eating. Healthy eating goes beyond just the nutritional value of our foods and really want to promote a healthy relationship with food. We want to be able to communicate that with the families and be the advocate. You may be the first person on the line to identify that a child's attitude might actually be because he's hungry or she's hungry. You can help the families access these nutrition programs by letting them know that there's resources out there. Some resources that we've already talked about, as well as additional ones such as SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, previously known as food stamps, and as well as WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children. It's important that people know that there are programs out there to provide food. In addition, there's also local food banks that can provide another resource to get additional food. While all this is great and hunky-dory, it's also important to understand that children like and have food preferences. So how do we get buy-in with this new idea that we want to have more nourishing foods consumed throughout the day? A couple strategies have been shown to work with this population. One, cultural diversity. So, by exposing them to a variety of different cultures, you can get them to experience eating around the world by just sitting at their kitchen table. Having paintings of fruits and vegetables and healthy, nourishing foods along the wall is a subconscious way to increase the amounts of fruits and vegetables. Studies have shown that a multi-purpose room with fruits and veggies painted in the background increased the consumption of fruits and vegetables when compared to a multi-purpose room that had just plain white walls. Getting the kids involved and having fun food-related activities is another important way to get buy-in. Anytime that kids feel like they're part of the process, they're more likely to try a new food. And finally, some schools are doing competitions to where whatever recipe that the kids create would be featured every week for that month on the menu. This is a great way to instill a sense of pride. So with that being said, there is a large task ahead of us in order to combat childhood obesity. So what are some ways that you think we can successfully reverse this issue? We've talked a lot about them, but the biggest and greatest one is to create a positive environment. Studies have shown that home gardens have been the most influential on increasing the knowledge as well as improving food intake with kids. Community gardens are a great educational platform. Kids are able to see the environmental impact, such as the soil that's grown, composting, and then planting the seed and actually harvesting that vegetable, cooking with that vegetable, and then, of course, enjoying and eating that vegetable. There are a lot of programs in the community that are starting to look at this as the primary focus of education, and any type of tactile hands-on helps to improve their relationship and encourage them to eat healthier foods. It takes a village, everyone, and you play a large role in promoting a healthier environment. In summary, I want you to know that this is a large feat ahead of us. However, if we band together, we can positively impact these children's diets by promoting healthy food relationships and encouraging nutritious foods in the diet while also incorporating those fun play foods.